I want to say over 15 years ago, we, the taxpayers, paid over hundreds of thousands of dollars to have a group come in, Jackson, look at the police department, and see what we needed. What they said we needed was over 500 officers on the streets over 15 years ago. Our department has gone down from about 500 officers, counting not the street officers, that's counting. So, but the money's still appropriated for 500 police officers. So where's that money from 300 officers? A couple of years ago, they were talking about taking that money and give raises to officers. And they said, no, you can't do that. That money is specifically more officers. So that means that we were punishing the ranks of the Jackson Police Department. Why aren't we putting capable personnel and chiefs who's not lying to us, who actually show up for news conferences, who can be located by the news when they want to interview them about crime? Crime is way out of control in Jackson. Lost on this street. Some of you may remember I ran for sheriff a few years back. And the reason I ran for sheriff is because of what was going on in Jackson, Mississippi. I saw too much crime that was going unchecked, and nobody seemed to care. And still, today, it seems nobody cares. I told you for years. I didn't start this. I started in the 80s. And I venture to say that, when I retired, I had 10 Officer of the Year awards and 61 written commendations. But those mean nothing. I mean, the awards, the pay for the commendation. The stories like Terry live on forever. Terry's got some children now that have been very successful in their careers and their life. And what folks don't realize is, when somebody gets killed, maybe the next mayor, maybe next cure for cancer, uh, but with one life. So we've got to stop this vicious cycle. We've got to make these young men understand you're not each other's enemy. You're each other's brothers and sisters you're killing out there. You're not. It's not the enemy. This isn't war. You're supposed to love on one another. And a lot of these people, like Terry's father, he basically raised his mother, and they constantly follow us home. They need that encouragement. Somebody tell them, hey, it's going to be okay. You can be a success. Turn your life around. You don't have to turn to the street. But so many of these youth who fall under this, they just they going out there on the streets and joining gangs or whatever they need to do to get what they're not getting at home. The validation that there's somebody. So many times, sometimes they're being told you're never going to amount to nothing. You're never going to be anything. You're never going to do anything. So they turn to the streets for that encouragement and that love, but they feel like they're missing at home. We've got to do better for our youth. Teachers on board. One of them wasn't able to make it today, and so I'm listening to them. They're the ones in the schools every day. They know what we need. What's sad is when I saw it on Facebook about that library on the Northside Drive for Rern. We don't even have the books we need. Tell me if I'm wrong, Kim. We don't even have books we need in the schools for our youth. But yet we're allowing thousands to be destroyed at a library because it wasn't properly secured. This is unacceptable. So we've got to put more officers on the street. We've got to form partnerships. Like I said, I don't care if you have streets of gold and water. As long as crimes in the city leave the city, businesses are going to leave the city in that. But we've got to work extra hard to keep the businesses here that are here from leaving. Because you have something happen in there, all I get killed, they're going to leave and they're never coming back. We've got to show them, hey, to accept new businesses. We're ready to do to the United States to the world. We want business coming in from everywhere, but we've got to make our streets safe again. Now, I care about this city. I've got a long history of this city. Back in the early 40s, my dad had a record service, had the first wheel balance machine, Clayton line machine out on now. So I've got my own business doing private investigations and security. So I've got a wealth of business contacts. So we've got to do better in the crime. Crime is fixing to saturate the city because there's no respect. Bad guys, they watch TV and Facebook too. They that it takes officers sometimes 2 hours to arrive on the scene if they show up at all. If they show up at all. Because I remember an incident where there was a ticket home invasion in Fondren where they did show up. Criminals. They said, well, you know what? We got all in house and carjackers. It's going to be an hour for police to get seen if they come at all. So now there's areas that were normally considered safe are not safe anymore. They're infiltrating the whole city. If we don't stop it right now, it's going to take it over like a bad disease. Somebody, and I care. When I was with the sheriff's department, I used to work 16, 17 hours a day, 7 days a week. Doing that, barely getting paid for 40 hours because that's just my work ethic. That's the way I was raised, and that's the way I work. I don't ever tell you I'm going to do something that ain't going to die. We got so much improvement. The thing is, I'm one man. I can't do it by myself. I can take everybody in Jackson working with me. You know, calling in when you see something further now. You know, people say, well, you know, we don't see out in the neighborhoods. We've got been out in the neighborhoods. Then we show up with our t-shirts on, things like this is helping to get the word out. So, you know, we just got to do better, folks. We've got to take an active role. People have been kind of lax over the last couple of years, and things starting to change now. People are just gunning each other down the streets in front of. I mean, when you get right out in the middle of North Side Drive and you have a shootout, you know, you're not supposed to see those kind of things, but they are because it's lack of respect. And our judicial system has a lot to do with that. And I plan on working on changing that also. We've got to have bonds. We've got sentences that are equal to Madison and Rankin County. Because folks, they don't want to go over to Madison and Rankin County and commit crime. They can sign stuff to Jasper because they know whatever they get in Hinds County, they get 3-4 times stiffer in Rankin and Madison County. So we got to change here, folks. I'm ready for it. I'm start work from day one. So like I say, I think I've about covered everything: the use, the water. We've just got to have some. You know, I keep hearing on all these issues, well, it's going to cost this, it's going to cost that. Well, sure, it's going to. Don't. You got to start somewhere. Just like with the water, I keep fix the water system. Well, no, it's not, because you can't fix the water system all at one time. You got to start in sections. And if we know where the money is, how much money we've got, how much interest is which a section at a time, and that interest each time. You know, I've gone out and I've talked to asphalt contractors. They're laying asphalt down and getting calls from the city for a job, and they're telling them that look, there's a busted pipe under this street. That's why the road's in the shape it's in. If we come back, so the city's telling them to go ahead, they'll be back 6 months later. It's going to be just like it was before they repaired it. Dig it up, fix the pipe. It's that simple. Even though law enforcement is my field of expertise, so put in water pipe. I've also helped friends put in sewer system. Tell me it's a chicken. I know better. So, you know, God bless me with Lent. I don't have to hire consulting agencies to tell me everything that I need to know just because they're my buddies. I don't believe in the body. Like I said, I don't play politics. I don't believe in the buddy system. I believe in surrounding myself with people who are more qualified. So, you know, not get somebody a job because they're my friend. So that's about all I've got to say. Let me take questions. Well, let's get, Question was, what can help me the campaign between now and election day? Well, the thing is, right now we're still trying to raise funds. We're trying to raise money to run commercials, do whatever we can to get the words out to those undecided voters. Voters who there's so many voters think that after the primary, he's the mayor. Well, that's not the way it is, folks. We still got another opportunity. There wasn't quite 18,000, around 18,000. He only got 13,773, which is not really good for a popular mayor. When it in 2017, there was almost 40,000. That's voters that didn't even come vote. But what we're being told was that there's so many didn't come vote because there wasn't nobody in the mayor's race they wanted to vote for. So we're kind of hoping that means they're waiting for us. So, but you know, we need people canvass your neighborhood. You know, we got bundles. If you'd like to take some with you and take back to your neighborhood, the signs. If you want to put one sign in your yard, we've got signs. If you got a neighbor or somebody or a family member or a friend who might want a sign, you know, we can get them to. We'll kind of listen here with Jewel. Come back, or y'all can. So anyway, any other questions? Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Well, what question was from they who work in the state to help attract businesses. And her question is, am I willing to work with state agencies or whoever to bring business prosperity and funds back to Jackson, Mississippi? I'm an independent candidate. I'll work with anybody. I don't care who the president is. I'm going to be their elected official. You don't have a personal opinion. You don't have a political opinion. Your opinion is the will of the people. And whoever comes to Jackson, Mississippi, or whoever you have to reach out to, if they can help make this safer, prosperous, and help with the infrastructure by bringing funds. But the current administration won't reach out across the aisle. Seems to be reluctant to reach out to white. That's just bottom line. That's the way it is. We all know it. That's got to change. It's not his will; it's the people's will. Pretty much, this. I won't have a life once I get elected. My life can belong to the people and enforcement. And I'll always give my all. If I tell you I'm going to do something, my dad used to say, I don't care if you have a penny, as long as you have your word, you're a rich man. And word. So, to answer your question, I'll work with whoever I have to work with to bring businesses and prosperity back to this city. That okay. Anybody else? Yeah. Well, at this point, I can't really give an intelligent answer on that until I get into the office and see what we have and what we don't have. But you know, a law enforcement officer, I know that being a part of an organization that I can be proud to say I'm a member of means a lot. Working with a professional uh, organization who cares about its officers, who sees to their needs, means a lot. Go on way. Just to recognize your officers for jobs well done. When I was in law enforcement, I understand. Look, I raised a daughter by myself from the age of 2 until she got grown, all the time while being a law enforcement officer. For me, it meant working an extra job to make sure she had a good education, to make sure she had the clothes she needed and had dental. So I understand the struggles. I've been there. I know. Like I said, I never remarried all the time until after she left home. So it was, relying on my sister or my mother because I just wouldn't drop her off anywhere. Well, I worked extra jobs. So, I mean, they're my support, my staff. So, we can find a way to make the pay better, at least make the working conditions better until I get to where I can raise their salaries. That is my intent and go because having been there, I know what it's like. Officers shouldn't have to work 2 or 3 jobs. If you work for energy or one of those companies and you go out to run a storm or a tornado, you get hazardous duty pay. Every time an officer pins his badge on and walks out in the streets, it's hazardous duty. Used to when a police officer was killed, the circumstances depicted it. A felony stop, uh, maybe pull somebody over, just rob somebody or something. Nowadays, law enforcement officers got it on their back. And so some of our local cities are facing a shortage. Cities that used to never, ever shortages are having a hard time getting police officers. The police officers are rethinking their jobs. We've got to do something to law enforcement look attractive to officers to draw them back in again. We'll get good quality officers. So, that's my thing we will be working on. And like I said, I will say, after over 30 years of law enforcement, I do understand what makes a bad kid, what makes a bad kid, what makes a bad kid. So anyway, I hope that's satisfactory, Andrew. Anybody else? Thank you. There's still a lot of good officers on Jackson Police Department. I've talked to them, uh, and I've listened to their issues. I listened to their problems. But we've had so many good officers leave and go to surrounding towns and counties. We've got to stop that. We've got to keep those guys here, the ones we've got. The officers, we've got rookies training rookies basically. I can't remember the last time they had a class, but we've got to start building the ranks back up and putting them on patrol. When I was in the Jackson Police Department, we went through the academy for and uh, um, what they taught us was give the feeling of omnipresence that you're everywhere. So you drive around, you be seen. You don't drive around every hour. You 30 minutes, come back, maybe drive down the road, turn around, come back again to make people think you're everywhere. We've got to build our ranks back up. And the same goes with the fire department. I've got we got 3. Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't recognize it first there, but anyway, I've been listening to them uh, and telling me they were facing the same issues too on the fire department. You know, during the winter storm, which reminds me, we were told to go to the fire station to get water and to get uh, flushable water. But when they got to the fire station, there's no drinking water there. And correct me if I'm wrong, y'all guys know better than I. Water hydrants are froze up. So this administration had us out on one of the worst days on the streets, the winter storm, to go get water, and there was no water to be gotten. So I was out of water for 16 days before this administration ever reached out to the governor for help. Just respect to call him, he sent him a text. That's not, that, I don't care if you like who's in office, you respect the office and you work with whoever you got to work for to get people's water running back again. And that just didn't happen. But today, the next day, there were piles of water coming in, and the big green tankers from the National Guard. Like I said, people are paying 2 water bills. Some who can't afford to. They're paying the water bill to Walmart, to Kroger's, or wherever they get the drinking water from. They pay one to the city of Jackson. Now, I have no intentions of raising taxes because I can't see, and I know you can't see where your taxpayers are going, dollars you're paying now going to. So why should I put that burden on you now when you're not even getting what you're getting paid for. So until we start giving people a return on their money, I'm not going to burden them anymore. So I'm a concerned citizen. I'm a taxpayer. Uh, so I can't see it. We've got to do better. We can't keep doing the same old thing, going to the poll and voting. Oh, this guy's the incumbent. We're going to vote for him. We've got to start looking and doing research. I encourage everybody, just don't vote for me because I'm here talking to you, here listening to me. Check all the candidates' websites out, credentials. See, look, we've got two other in this race and one Republican. We have got to combine those votes behind one candidate. One candidate. And we can do this. We're being told that we're going to get a guy that can possibly beat the current administration. So that's where, look at your faces, look at my face, getting the most interaction, see who is supporting them from all communities. The white community, not just where you've got whites and black coming together. Because this is my plan. That's my platform. Unity and this very group gathering right here today shows that. We can all live together. We can all work together. That's the way God meant for it to be. He didn't mean for us to divide ourselves. This corruption has tried to divide us. You know, I think back to Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, what they fought and what they died for. What we're doing is reversing that. We're doing. He's trying to give us reverse when we can't do this by ourselves. There's no race that can do anything else. We're going together. We've got to unify and come to understand each other. Communication is the only way we're going to do that. I have that communication. I'm with communications between the blacks, the whites, Republicans, Democrats are going to come together, and we're going to sit down at the table. And we're going to choose, and we're going to come together as one. Now, you look around and you see different colors here, and I respect that because I'm a white man. You know I'm white because God made me white. That's what makes me different. That's what makes me unique. The same. These folks are black. God made them black. So for me to sit here to you, I don't see color. I'd be lying. Well, what can be done is okay. The question is, Daniel asked, was that time and time again, countless number of times, that he knows of instances where people were arrested, turned right back around and released, probably on their own signature, really low bond, which he believes emboldens them to keep out and keep committing these crimes. Which I totally agree. There has got to be consequences for your actions. Now, in one of my programs, I'm looking at doing youth centers. We're about the only city in the United States to our side to go to that doesn't have youth centers that provides counseling and encouragement and mentorship. I want to work with all the local churches to provide mentors for these young men who just want a chance. Wants a chance. I don't think there's nobody here today that hasn't been given at least one chance or two chances in life. May not be criminal, may not have been something like that. But on Clay Edwards' show the other day, he told me him and another one of the DJs up there, the one who has the show, sat down and talked and looked it up. Every single person commits 2 felonies a day without even realizing. I I found that was interesting, but they said it was statistically so. So some folks just at it, and So anyway, don't shoot me. I'm just a messenger. That's what I was saying. So don't walk off and leave. I'm not saying y'all are felons. Um, so, but anyway, I thought that was interesting. But to answer your question, Daniel, we have got to have stricter guidelines. We just we have got to work with the sheriff's department who is in charge of the jail. We've got to figure out a way. There got to be consequences for your action, but also, like I was saying, so many chances. Sometimes that's all an individual needs is a second chance. But the hardest thing that a felon come is getting a job. So many times people won't hire them. They go back to crime. I want to have a program for offenders of not crime. Violent guys are going to jail. That's a choice. A little property crime, like you stole something that was a felony amount, you know, victims. And I've done this before. I've done this throughout my career. Folks out, get them started back on the right path. And most times, I can go to a man and say, "Okay, this guy broke in your house. Uh, uh, I think I see something in him. I think if given a second chance, he can become a member of society." So this is what I'd like to do. And I've never had nobody yet say, "Okay, no, he said, whatever you think, Officer Ted, did you get property back? If not, work to replace that property. If your insurance didn't do it, if he created damage and the insurance didn't cover it, he's going to pay for that." But our program will send them through GED. They'll teach them a trade. Bring in. I've already rounded up a sheriff and had this program in mind, running master electricians, plumbers down. They'll come in and teach these young men trades and get them out and hire them. So once they go to this program, what will happen is we'll work with the local businesses and we'll vouch for them and say, "Hey, these guys, they've indicated they want to change and turn the light on. Will you give them a job?" And usually coming from a mayor or a chief or a sheriff, they're going to comply and help out. So after 2 years of keeping a job, being a productive member of society, not getting to know people, we'll see about having that expunged from the record. And then what I think is uh, a lot of people that made mistakes or just that made mistakes, they were the wrong crowd, nonviolent crime, property crime, and I'd like to see them get restored back to vote. That's an awful price to pay for a young man. Like look at trying to get that restored. So yeah, Daniel, there's got to be stiffer sentences. There's got to be stiffer bonds. We've got to make it unattractive to commit crimes in Jackson, Mississippi. Here lately, uh, with their Jackson has become the New Mexico. As a lady told me the other day, she called it Mexico, Mississippi, because because if you remember back in the old days, if you committed a crime, you ran for the border, which was Mexico, and that's what it is now. They're running from Rankin County, Madison County, coming into Jackson, hoping to get here without getting caught, and they're getting no assistance from the Jackson Police Department whatsoever. And they chase because, and I know this to be a fact, they chase because they know even if they know who the person is and they get into Jackson, the Jackson Police Department is not going to help them to find the person, even if they can get them and get a warrant for them. But this isn't the Jackson police officer's fault. They're being told to stand. I'll never tell my men to stand down. Like I said, I will have a good, capable chief, fire chief, and chief of police who will be, like I said, he'll be a great chief. He'll be one who's loved by his people and loved by the public as well. And like I said, me and him both will be out in the communities. We'll be talking to folks. We'll have town hall style meetings. We'll be out in the neighborhoods. We'll be talking to people. That's how you learn, not sitting up behind a desk. I'm not a desk person. I'll do what I have to do. And how you see me now, except maybe coming in with blue jeans, I'm not coming in a three-piece suit with my barber following me around everywhere I go. Uh, uh, because if I'm driving down the road, whether I'm having somebody drive me or I'm driving myself, hopefully they'll let me just drive myself. Uh, I'll because there's not many streets on the streets of Jackson that I hadn't been on by myself late at night. I mean, back in the '80s, and Terry can tell you this. gangs were worse back in the 80s than they are now. Because back in the 80s, you had representatives and members from vice folks, gangster disciples. They were being sent from New York, Chicago, LA, trying to get gangs started in Mississippi. So we used to see folks, young men, just gunned down for no reason at all, either because they're wearing a hat turned the wrong way, wearing the wrong color bandana, or whatever. But no motive. Now it's not like that. When we're seeing, there's usually something behind it. Then it's because you're in the wrong neighborhood, wearing the wrong color the wrong way. So we had those issues, and we were doing it with maybe 5 men. But we had good. We didn't stand down. We might not have been on a weekend. I worked out of Richmond Mall, and I worked at Queens and the Hills by myself. But we did what we were supposed to do. We did what we took an oath to do. I will bring back the meaning, and my chief will bring back the meaning to protect and serve. Well, you know, we I used to deal. I worked at Warrants Division when I was Malcolm Macmillan. We dealt with what you call the unit, but it's we pick up uh, people who had mental issues, and we take them to a hearing, and then if they were found deemed to be lunacy, they would commit them, and we pick them up and take them out to the state hospital. So I've dealt exclusively and a lot with, like I said, with folks with mental issues. Well, but and another, I'm glad you brought that up, Pam, because it reminded me of another topic. I got so much I want to talk about. I could keep y'all here after dark. Uh, I'm sure y'all want to go home, especially on this Labor Day. What we're seeing more and more of is homeless people at stop signs and everything. Now, look, it's easy to criticize somebody when you don't know their story. Everybody has a story. Some of these folks are out here in no circumstances and no fault of their own. So what I have been doing, I have been riding around Jackson, uh, looking at hotels that are abandoned, structurally sound, working with grants, working with businesses. All our problems. This isn't their problem, it's our problem. And because if we don't take care of it now, at the epidemic stage, like it is out in California, then we're in trouble. It's time to reverse it. So I've been looking at some of these hotels to possibly turn into homeless facilities. And what I'd like to do is, fix them up. There's so many of these great companies like Home Depot and Lowe's that donate to these kind of causes, and some of these inmates, some of these first-time offenders, have them out and let them do the labor, provide the labor, and bring them into town to help to clean the town up. Put them to use. Yeah. So what we have to do is I want to fix these facilities up. I can come in, and since I do happen to have a sister that's in the medical profession, uh, provide a clinic in that facility, provide medical services a couple of times a month, to where doctors are volunteering their time and their services to come in. I've talked to a couple of dentists who want to come in and provide the same equipment, and mental counselors. So some of them do have mental issues. They need the same. They just can't afford it. So we've got to do better by them, because I say some of them are veterans, some of them we don't know their stories. Some of them do have issues, but one thing I can assure you, that out there on those streets, they're not going to deal with those drug issues. They're not going to be taken care of. It's up to us as citizens and people and humanity to do the right thing and to help bring these better life for these people, and to get them off these streets out here before they get run over. Because they'll jump out in front of cars, and it's dangerous, and it's like a lot of times I hear people all the time criticizing the lifestyle. We don't have a story. We all have a story. They have a story too. Mr. Hawk here, is that right? Hawk, Mr. Hawk here. He's in real estate. Is that right? So he knows better than anybody how these abandoned properties that these high property values now. I had a senior lady, 77 years old, contact me by Facebook, saw one of my signs out, and started reading up about me. I believe in you, and there's something, what can I do to help you? Some cards and some signs. Miss Town, she says, I'm 77 years old, and I live in Level Woods, and I keep my house up real nice, and I keep my yard up nice. But that two houses on either side of me are falling down. So I'm looking at leaving out of Jackson. She said, I've been in Jackson my whole life, but because of the conditions and the crime, I'm scared. And I called the bank, and the bank had told me I didn't realize that my property value had depreciated so much as it is. So, there are laws on the book that already cover these properties and businesses. You drive around Jackson, these businesses are usually owned by chain. I think it's the Wendy's that's burnt down over on Highway 18. Now, you can't tell me Wendy's can afford to clean the lot up. They're going to be forced to clean the lot up. But my plan, either do it 50 days, or come in and do it, we'll seize that property and clean it up because it's bringing down the whole neighborhood. It's depreciating all our property values, and so easily. But it's almost like this drive property values in the ground, and they've done a pretty good job of it. We have got to make it more attractive to businesses to return, to people that want to live here. And there's no doubt in my mind, I don't accept failure. I don't accept the word can't or won't. I'm an optimist. I don't. You can't. You're not going to tell me I can't do something or you dare because I guarantee you I'm going to go out there and prove you wrong. So I've already got a lot of folks to prove wrong. So I may not see it in my lifetime, but folks, we've got to start somewhere. We can't keep living with excuses and deception. And that's all we're getting from this administration: excuses and deception every time. Just like the man from the businessman. If y'all saw, I think his name was Justin Doss or Deese or something, who came from Texas and did the Facebook video talking about how great the people are in Jackson, Mississippi. Well, the people of Jackson, Mississippi are great. We have got, he said, the nicest people he's ever met anywhere, and he traveled over the United States. He says, but Jackson, Mississippi looks like a war zone. And he said, I could not believe the size of the potholes in a city, and especially the capital city. And we are the capital city. We all want to live in a capital city where we're proud of. Not when a businessman comes out of town, a war zone, and that the government in Jackson, Mississippi needs to be ashamed of the way they got these people living. Before I left the hotel, I was warned, don't go there. I'm in the capital city of Jackson, Mississippi, and I'm being told there's places I can't go because I might be robbed or mugged or carjacked. And he's putting this out there. And you think we're going to see businesses come to Jackson? Every time, can anybody name anything that's been on the national news about Jackson, Mississippi? All I've seen is the water, the infrastructure and potholes, and crime. So, we've got to change that perception. The current administration's commercials show a bright, shining city on the hill. It's full of light color. We know Jackson, Mississippi ain't like that. It used to be. It's not like that no more. But I believe it can be again. My commercial depicts a whole different. It depicts reality. Yeah, I'm a realist. I'm an optimist, but I'm a realist. So I think to be an optimist, to correct things, you first got to realize what the problem is. And I realize the problems are people fix them. I'll say this, one thing God has blessed me through my career. Because I worked some of the worst areas of Jackson. I've come out pretty much, besides a scar here and there, unscathed. But I have no medical issues, won't know any kind of medication. So God's blessed me with my health, and I'm strong, and I'm ready to take the shoulders of the problems of Jackson, Mississippi, on my shoulders and make change. Thank y'all. Thanks everybody for coming.